South Africa were completely dominated in the first ODI between South Africa and Afghanistan, and it was quite an embarrassing performance, particularly from a batting standpoint. South Africa's batters never came to the party. We wanted a new, fresh team to be available, and we wanted to see all of them get the opportunity to play. But that's not what we got when it came to their performances. We got underwhelming performances from all the new guys that were available on display today. It wasn't a very experienced team, but that is no excuse. A lot of these players were supposed to be knocking on that door of the Proteas setup, and we never really got performances from them that we'd all hoped for. Afghanistan was completely dominant with the ball, and South Africa just capitulated. And that's ultimately what happened in today's game. And we're going to be reviewing it on the show today. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, please subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. I'd also like you guys to please smash that like button, comment, and share. Remember that when the stream ends, I would like you guys to get in the comment section and leave your thoughts there as well. It really helps our channel out a lot. It helps our content to spread far and wide. So please get involved with that. As per usual, I'll be giving the review of the show first and foremost, my thoughts on the match, and then I'll get into your live chat. If you want to get your comments definitely read out on the channel, then you can provide a super chat and I'll be forced to read them out. I might not get to everybody's comments, but I'll try my best to get to as many as possible. But you can force that move by providing a super chat to make sure that I read out your comments. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the first ODI between South Africa and Afghanistan. Now, we played at the Sharjah Oval or Sharjah Stadium, and South Africa were completely dominated. Let me start with the toss because I have some comments about that. South Africa won the toss and they opted to bat first. Immediately when I heard that news, I was a little bit worried because I knew that there were a lot of guys in this team that don't have many caps to their name. There are a lot of guys in the squad that were picked that were getting an opportunity to showcase their talent and to show the coach that they have the ability to be able to get a spot in the side. And there are a lot of players competing for similar spots in this particular setup, particularly that top order. There are quite a few guys that can play there. You've got Kyle Verreynne, you've got Tony De Zorzi, you've got Tristan Stubbs, Aiden Markram, Riza Hendricks. You've got all of these guys that bat in the top order. And there are definitely a lot of spots up for grabs, I feel, at this stage in South Africa's tenure or under Rob Walter's tenure at this particular point in time. But when you have so many new guys in the squad and in your starting 11 in foreign conditions where they haven't necessarily played, he picked a lot of newer guys that don't have many caps, as I said before, and a debutant in Jason Smith. And what bothered me is that if you have new guys in the side, then why would you put them in even more difficult circumstances if you don't understand what the wicket is going to offer? The pitch report, the guys that were analyzing this game, they have experience. They've played many games for their countries. and they themselves couldn't get a read of the wicket. Yes, Afghanistan said they would have batted first as well, but they are more familiar with this particular ground. They've played here before, so they understand the conditions a lot better. But there were a lot of guys in this particular side that were unfamiliar with the ground and unfamiliar with what they were going to receive in this particular match. So you could see that plain and simply by the way we batted. They looked like they were out of their comfort zones. They looked like they didn't understand the wicket. Often the commentator would say that they are not reading the spin, they are not reading the ball off the pitch. They couldn't at all read Faruqi. He was completely on top of South Africa from the get-go. And once again, why am I sitting here having to question certain senior players' performances? At least when you do have a fresh young team, or an inexperienced team, I would rather say, you expect then your senior players to step up. Lisa Hendricks, Aiden Markram, Andile Pechlakwayo, Lungingiri, etc. You expect those guys to put up their hands and basically be the solid foundation of this team. Tony De Zorzi hasn't played much ODI cricket. Yes, we expected better from him. We expect better from him, but he hasn't played a lot of cricket, so we need to give him more game time. Tristan Stubbs has barely played any ODI cricket for South Africa. And Kyle Verreynne is still at the beginning stages, you could say, of his international ODI career. But it was a pathetic performance from South Africa, you have to say, with the bat. We found ourselves quickly 6 down for 36 runs, 7 down for 36 runs, in fact. And before that, we were 29 for 5 after 7.6 overs. So we were really, really bad. And what peeved me off as well is the dismissals, the way of the dismissals, the way we were dismissed in this particular match. I mean, I'm going to pull up this particular. I'm going to pull up the scorecard on the screen for you guys and show you some of the scores over here. We've got 9 from Lisa Hendricks. The way he was dismissed was pathetic as well. I mean, why is he playing away from his body with such a massive gap between bat and pad, pushing at the delivery that he could have left? That ball was going on fifth, sixth stump. That's where that ball was heading, or that's where it pitched. He could have left it and we could have been okay. It's almost like they are programmed but to play T20 cricket. They've been playing T20 cricket so much that they almost are programmed to play at every delivery. And in ODI cricket, you can slow things down and take your time. You could see, by the way, Vian Mulder played. I think his knock was brilliant, and we have to give him a little bit of a congratulations there. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But then for Tony De Zorzi to lose his wicket so shortly after that, playing at the delivery, it was a very, I would say, naive way to lose your wicket. It was careless in a way, and I would have expected better game management from him at that time. When you lose your opening partner in an ODI match, you need to kind of slow things down, particularly if you're not 100% on top of the opposition bowlers. They were starting to find themselves, or starting to bring themselves into the match, work their way into the match. And Tony at that point needed to just slow things down, maybe rotate the strike a bit with Aiden, and just consolidate before actually going for it like he did. And he lost his wicket straight after Aiden Markram. And I think that's it's 2 down, 2 wickets down. Sorry, there was 2 wickets down when Tony De Zorzi played that rash shot. And Aiden as well. The a lack of being. He struggled to be able to read the delivery and completely bamboozled by Faruqi again. And it was a slower delivery from Faruqi that actually caught him out. And his bad form has now continued. He's really struggling in this ODI format. I've seen a lot of people want calling for him to be the captain. He had the opportunity to captain today in place of Temba Bavuma, who was ill. But I don't think permanent captaincy should come Aiden's way until he gets his form back. I'm worried about him in T20 cricket as well. He hasn't scored many runs in T20 cricket recently either. So I'm really worried about his form because he's really struggling. I think Test cricket is the only place where I feel at the moment he's kind of comfortable. And he's been getting runs at least in Test cricket. But in the white ball format, he's really been struggling for runs. And I don't want to hear people calling for him to be captain if his form is not up to scratch, because I don't think we can have a captain that is not in form. And the same goes for Temba Bavuma. Temba has to show some form now leading up to the Champions Trophy if we were going to select him as captain for that ODIs, for the ODI future of South Africa. He needs to be able to put runs on the board and particularly show it in ICC tournaments as well. Tristan Stubbs got a duck. Um, couldn't read the youngster, Kazanfa. I mean, we saw how Steve Stoke played Kazanfa in matches. Tristan couldn't read him, couldn't pick him out, and was completely bamboozled basically by him. Uh, Calverena couldn't read him either. Played a very naive shot, um, and wasn't necessarily a very good shot to play, I would say, at that particular stage in the match. When you need to be a little bit more cautious with your wicket, there's no need to take any risks at that particular time. And I think that some of the players took unnecessary risks at the wrong time. Jason Smith uh, completely was castled by Gazanfa as well. But then Vian Mulder, another one, very bad game awareness from Andile Pech, required to be a run out in that situation. And then I know he looked all confused and puzzled about it, but he should be more aware more aware of where the ball is around him. So a duck from him, poor performance again with the bat from Andile. But then Vian Mulder and Bjorn Fortuin kind of started to get things going and built a little bit of a partnership. And that was nice to see because at least they took them past the lowest ever total. We were in danger of being dismissed for our lowest ever total, which is 69. We managed to get past that, but that was all thanks to Vian Mulder and mainly Bjorn Fortuin. And then Vian Mulder really pushed on and got us to 105 before he lost his wicket. And the rest just capitulated as well, were bowled out as well. Rashid Khan obviously taking quite a few wickets over there towards the end. 106 all out in 33.3 overs. It's our tied sixth lowest score in our history. And it was a very poor performance from South Africa with the bat. With the ball, obviously, I mentioned Faruqi. He was the top bowler for Afghanistan. Kazanafa was very good as well. He took 3 for 20. And Rashid Khan, 2 for 30. Those were the top bowlers for Afghanistan. And yeah, we had no answers in these conditions. And that's why I've posed the question on why if we were struggling to read these conditions so much or so badly, we should have batted second. Allow Afghanistan to show us what this wicket can do and what would happen. The counter argument to that, though, however, is that the pitch the ball did swing a lot more. There was dew later on in the day, and the ball swung a lot more in the second innings. So it might not have been, the surface might not have played exactly the same as what it did for South Africa in the first innings. But if you're unfamiliar with a particular ground and a particular wicket, the smart thing to do would be to bat second if you win the toss, and let the other team show you how to bat on that surface. South Africa got a good start with the ball, I would say. They put the pressure on Afghanistan. They had them 1 wicket down for zero, then 2 wickets down for 15 runs, and then three down for 38 runs. And at that point, some people might have thought we could come back into the game. It was down to Bjorn Fortuin and Lungingiri. Both of those bowlers bowled extremely well, I think, on the day. Bjorn Fortuin ended with 2 for 22, and Lungingiri ended with 1 for 6 in 4 overs. But after taking the third wicket, Afghanistan kind of just had to put a one partnership together to really win the game. They did peg them back at 60 for 4 in the 18th over, by the end of the 18th over. And that was because Markram got the captain Shahidi LBW. But then it was a partnership between Omarzai and Naib that took Afghanistan home comfortably. They chased down the total in 26 overs, 107 for 4 they ended up with. And that was the end of the game. And Faruqi obviously got man of the match. So a very disappointing showing from South Africa. But I'm hoping that they now would have learned their lesson on this ground, would have learned about these conditions on this on today, and then maybe they will have a much better performance in the second ODI. It's going to be really embarrassing if we can't recover from this. That's going to be the main thing when it comes to this particular series. So let's cross our fingers and hope that South Africa will recover, that they've learned their lessons now, that they understand the conditions a lot better, the pitch a lot better, the surface a lot better, and they'll be able to put on a much better batting performance. I think South Africa, if they bat well, they can beat Afghanistan. I think we have the bowlers to do so. We saw that they did struggle a bit against some of our bowlers. And I think that we will be able to bowl them out if we bowl well as a unit. So, yeah, it's on to the next one. Let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have had to say. Dr. Dang says such an embraced shit batting performance. Such a poor performer is Markram as a captain. Also not good bowler. Too same for Tzozi and Riza. Never ever seen a worse captain than Markram. Why didn't he bowl a single over in today's match on a spin friendly surface? Well, he did bowl. I don't know what to say to that because he did bowl today. He got a wicket. Khalid, still don't know why Riza and Pehlakwai get selected and came straight into playing 11. Rassi has far better numbers in ODI, still dropped at 3. To be honest, I don't know. It's time to bring back Aiden at 4 in white ball setup. He looks more settled at 4 rather than 3 after being moved at 3. He's not looking good. I don't think you can continuously make excuses for Aiden Markram. 3, 4, very similar positions. He's been poor in white ball cricket and he needs to get his form back. It's as simple as that. There's no other way to look at it. Rassi is one of the best performers in ODI World Cup at 3, but still dropped Aiden, best performer of SA at 4, at moved to 3. Someone like Stubbs, why they move settled player from 4, Markram from 4 to 3. He hasn't been settled even at 4, Sam, so I don't know what you're talking about. But then another thing is that we knew that they want to try and give some players an opportunity to see what they can do. I don't think Rassi is necessarily dropped. He's in an island tour team. I know he wasn't in the. I know that he wasn't in the T20 World Cup, but at least he's been given chances in ODIs. And we might have to look at that again. If they can't find someone younger to find form and be a lot more aggressive, I think they're trying to replace Rassi with someone that is more progressive and higher strike rate and has the ability to be able to score in more areas of the ground than Rassie can. And I think they're looking for that type of player that can take us into the next 3, 4 years instead of having a stopgap in Rassie, and then we don't know how his career is going to go over the next year or two. Things can change very quickly for a player of his age. He's extremely fit though, so he can probably play for a long time. But they going to have to monitor that well. And we all wanted players to get an opportunity in these series, and we got it, but it just was a poor performance today. So I don't want us to be too reactionary after the first game. Let's see how they do on this tour in these 3 matches. At the end of the three, then we can start judging and we can start criticizing accordingly, fairly, and look at the situation properly, and then move on to the next series. So I'm not going to go too crazy. It's the first time a lot of these players have been in this foreign conditions on a pitch like this. So let's just give them a little bit of a small little rope. I'm not saying give them a long ass rope that they can play tug of war with, but at least give them a tiny rope that they can have a little bit of leeway to be able to pull themselves through this particular mess that they find themselves in. So I'm going to give them the next 2 games and see if they can learn from the previous game. We are going to see a lot of performances like this here and there. A lot of you guys want other players to come in. There is no way of telling that another player is going to come in here and perform better or worse than the guys that are currently in the side. Remember, domestic cricket is kind of your measuring stick, and the players that have been selected are the best batters in domestic cricket. Numbers wise, over the last few seasons, they are right on top. So what's telling you that players that are not performing as well domestically are going to, as these guys are going to come in here and perform? Sanjay says, well done. It's a great team select, great team performance. Bravo, South Africa is a wonderlijke span, says Sanjay. Kani says, Andile is not serious about cricket. If the ball turns a little bit or seems a little bit, we know what will happen to our batters. Bunch of flat track bullies. Jason Smith looked clueless, just shows the gap between domestic and international level. Tex says, this is the result you get when you persist with tried and tested players like Riza and Andile, who has no future with the Proteas going forward. I fully blame Rob for selecting this week's squad. Tex says Afghanistan went with 4 spinners and we only had one. That's another thing that I thought we got wrong maybe, but we didn't have an opportunity to see if we really did get it wrong because our batters were so poor today. I don't see us winning the series or the Island series with a squad. It's 2 completely different squads. Sapo says disgusting performance. Let's be honest about Markham. He doesn't deserve to be captain or even be in the starting 11. Yeah, at the moment, based on his form, he hasn't he hasn't done justice to his position and justice to his selection as a captain. He needs to perform with the bat if they're going to give him the captaincy. But when you look at experienced guys that are in this squad currently, Markram is the white ball captain in T20 cricket, so it was the logical decision to make him captain in the absence of Temba Bavuma. But this team really needed Temba Bavuma today. We needed that calm-headed three that could just calm things down, and maybe give some instructions to the younger guys and tell them that what they need to do in the situation. The reading of conditions today was very poor. And I don't understand how this can happen when you have a batting coach like JP Duminy, who has experience all over the world. What was the instructions from the batting coach? That also needs to be put into question here. Because they would have looked at that wicket and analyzed it, bowled a couple of balls perhaps on the wickets that are parallel to this particular wicket, not on the actual playing surface, and would have been able to tell how what's going to happen. The instructions should have been, you need to just be patient here. I think they got a little bit excited when Riza got a couple of cover drives away, and Tony De got his uh, got a boundary away in the first couple of overs. I think they got a little bit maybe too excited. But very often when South Africa are faced with the South African batters are faced with something that they haven't seen before or experienced before, they look like this. So we need to find a way on how we can prevent that from happening. Whereas this is Khalid with the SAA getting whitewashed by Sri Lanka A, the Proteas getting whitewashed versus West Indies in T20, and now losing to Afghanistan for the first time ever. Is it time to admit we are in a crisis? No, I don't think we're in a crisis. Guys, I think we just need to calm down here a bit with our reactionary, with how reactionary we are being towards this. Not every single player that is going to come through our system is going to be good enough to play for the Proteas. This particular this particular exercise that we are currently doing is meant to weed out all the bad players and find one or two or, or three players that are going to put up their hand, step up, and show their talent. The current Proteas team, the ODI team, made it to a semi-final of a World Cup. Let's not forget that that is the aim ultimately. How we do in these series leading up to it shouldn't be as important if you are playing fresh, young players, new teams, and not playing your first 11. If we were playing our first 11 in every single match, our best 11 in every single match, and losing like this, then I can understand players becoming or fans becoming really upset. But if the exercise and the aim of the coach is to try and weed out players that are not good enough to play for South Africa, because we don't play enough. Remember, guys, we don't play enough games. We don't play enough SAA games. We don't play enough emerging games. We don't even play enough domestic cricket, let's be honest, to be able to actually find those players that are ready for the Proteas. We need to find a way on how to fast track players into the Protea side and the right players. And the best way to learn is in the middle against international level players in international grounds on international wickets, where things are going to be a lot more difficult and a lot more challenging. So this is actually a good thing, these losses, because we are quickly going to start to see which players are not good enough to play for South Africa, which ones are not worthy of getting a Proteas call up. So that is something that I feel is one positive we can take out of this. But at the same time, I think we can expect and we should expect better from these guys that were selected. Um, Let me just go to Vishal says South Africa perfect 11 for the Champions Trophy is Bedingham, De Rassi, Markram, Stubbs, Klaasen, Mulder, Kesha, Rabada, Kutsia, and Nokia. So you've dropped Demba, who has been our best batter post World Cup, post well, pre World Cup. We need Marco, we need Gerald, we need Heinrich, we need Muller, and at this point, might need Quinny back too. I don't think so. I think we have enough time to be able to give these players a chance to build the experience that they need to be able to play at this level. Markram gets game time a lot like Dumini used to because he performed that six bowler role, and we are currently struggling with all rounders. Only sixth bowler that's a top five batter is Brevis. Yeah, and the others that are available aren't ready yet. Bryce Parsons, etc. They're not ready for international cricket. You see, it's easy just to say give another person a chance. We don't watch enough games of these players at domestic level to actually tell what their technical flaws are. These coaches are not going to ignore players that are good enough on purpose, or they're not going to ignore players that are performing because they want to win games. So obviously, the logical thing is to give those players opportunity at international level. Why leave them out of the side? So we need to take that into consideration over here, that they are obviously looking at these players, and at the moment they're not thinking that they're good enough or they're technically good enough to play. And it's a process, guys. You can't just expect every single player that you give an opportunity at international level to take to it like a duck to water and just perform immediately. It takes players a long time to find themselves. Even the best players in the world didn't just take to international cricket immediately. Cullis struggled at first and then found his way. Kohli struggled at first a little bit, then found his way. Um, Steve Smith, one of the best batters in modern day times, struggled at first and then found his way. Hashim Amla, all these great guys struggled at first. You only get, it's actually the majority of it's actually the guys that actually have taken to international cricket immediately are actually the minority. So we need to be patient. We need to support these guys and allow them the chance to be able to get themselves into form. It's the guys like Markram and Riza that we should be worried about. They have been given plenty of opportunities and should be performing at this level. You can't judge Markram when he has to captain a weak team, to when he has to keep captaining a weak team. I'm not judging his captaincy, I'm judging his batting. As a captain, he should be batting much better than he has been in both formats, T20 and ODI. Akshay says, Khalid, let's not give reasons for protest failures. Look at the Afghans. Their country has been in civil war since 40 years. No cricketing infrastructure or grounds. Still, they perform well and win. Guy, we beat them twice in the World Cup. This is the first time they've ever beaten South Africa. So they don't always win. I mean, we beat them now in T20 World Cup as well. We bowled them out for 56 runs. So I don't think you can compare the two teams. And we know that this is not our full strength team. And we knew that we're going to give new people an opportunity. You can't just expect everybody to be amazing. Like, wow, we'd be world champions if that was the case. If all of our players that we got if opportunities were suddenly superstars and were great and were amazing, if there was no betting in period, if there was nothing for them to learn, then they all would be world superstars, wouldn't they? So we have to also be patient with the newer guys and allow them the chance to actually develop their game. You playing overseas in different conditions to what you're used to is a lesson that needs to be learned. Not everybody's just going to go to a foreign country on a foreign ground and just going to be amazing and smash hundreds. Um, some players need to learn from their mistakes. And I think after the first game, it's a bit crazy for us to go so heavy on the team. Let's see what we can do in the second game and the third game. If we lose the series, then by all means, let's have a go at these guys. But that's all we need to be patient as well in this transition period that we are going through at the moment. We are rebuilding this team. We are rebuilding a team over here. Um, like I said, the only guys that don't really deserve to have many excuses is the experienced guys that have played many games for South Africa. That's Aiden and Reese at the moment. There's not many excuses that we can give to them. But the guys that have barely played any ODI cricket for South Africa, the level is completely different between domestic cricket and ODI cricket. Let's not try to kid ourselves and say that it's similar. I mean, I think that's expectations is way too high. There's a completely different level between ODI and Test and ODI cricket and first class cricket, or List A cricket. Zanzi Comic Club says Andile should be ashamed of the way he went out today. The man has played for over seven. Another person that doesn't deserve an excuse, because there's no excuses for that decision. He's an experienced guy. Every time Andile goes out, I want to see performances from him with either bat or ball. He needs to perform either with a bat or either with a ball consistently. I don't think he does that enough at the level that is acceptable. Or for his experience, for the experience that he has. Ibi453 says no excuses for the loss. Afghanistan also had new players in their side, but they adapted. Um, you see, they bowled extremely well, and the new guy. It's a lot easier to blood in new bowlers than it is to blood in new batters. There's a lot more to learn as a batter than in international cricket than there is for a bowler. So they bowled first, and I think if we bowled first, it would have been a whole different game today, because they would have been a lot more familiar with how this pitch is going to play. And I don't think we would have capitulated the way we did. We looked like we did not understand what was going on that wicket. That's how we looked. We know that these players are better than this. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves here. Tony's already got an ODI 100. Carl Verreynne has got 50s to his name. He's against very good teams, by the way, Australia, etc., England, they played against and done well. So the reason for the loss is also important. We need to also take that into account. And also, Afghanistan bowled very well. Okay, yeah. Anyway, we've got a caller on the show. We've got Ravi. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you? Long time no
In
see.
time.
Long
How are you?
time no see. How are you?
Good, good. I think last time we spoke was about 5 Man United games ago. Um, but yeah, you
Yeah,
hope you're well.
we're a lot better now than we were back then when we spoke.
Yeah, I agree that the rebuild is actually taking effect now than what was the case 2 years back. So, but we'll talk about United on another
Because
show, I
we
guess.
busy with another rebuild at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, just that's the spirit of it all. Look, I'm not against the blooding in of youngsters, batters or bowlers. I think it's good to give them a shot now. The World Cup is in 2027 in South Africa, so you've got effectively less than 3 years to blood in the youngsters. Make sure you've got a nice roster of players to choose from. I'm just baffled as to why guys like Matthew Britska didn't make the cut here. Ideally, I think this would have been a perfect situation for him to go into. And I know that he's been part of the SAA preparations against Sri Lanka not so long ago. I think last week he scored 100 in the 4-day test, or unofficial test at least. Guys like Jason Smith, I think he's been knocking on the door for a while. It's a bit harsh to criticize him now on his first ODI. I think he just had his first T20 debut not so long ago as well, about 3 weeks back. So it's still early days. The things that are unforgivable for me today is the way Andile Feklokwaya went out. That's not even a rookie mistake. Everybody knows from the academies in particular, don't leave your crease until the umpire says over, or it's pretty much the end of if the ball is not in play, it's no longer live. He wandered off, and that's I would say below a rookie sort of error, and that's not something I would have expected from a player that's been playing for 8 official years for South Africa. We deserve to see better from him, I think, especially in that period. And the thing is, we need an informed Mandile to come into the party. I think this is pretty much a last chance saloon for him, given that the World Cup is not that far from now.
Look here, I don't think he's in our starting 11 when everybody's fit. It's
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
you know
But
what
that's
we
what I'm
need.
saying. This is the last chance. This one really was the last chance saloon for him.
Yeah, I think what we need to do here is also think about the situation logically and not just look at isolated incidences. So when we look at the ODI team, generally speaking, as I see what fans like to do is they'll look at the team and say, "Oh, this person's missing, that person's missing, that person's missing," and not actually taking note of where they are in what part of the world, where they are in what team, what are they currently doing that they're not available. So KG was given a rest, for example. um, David Miller was playing in CPL a bit, and I think he got married recently or something. So they're giving him some time and some rest as well, because
He's
I
got
think that the main thought with him, yeah, having a baby, the main thing about David Miller is he's at that age now where he can't be playing every single game for South Africa. I feel we need to spare him. He doesn't need the time in the middle. On
no,
top of that, on top of that, we need to look at our squads. So we look at the test side, we look at the ODS side, we look at the T20 side, and we say, okay, what's our first 11 in each format? Where are the spots that we need to plug in? Like we need experience, we need to still fill, because all those teams are not complete 100%. You can pick
yeah,
maybe nine of the players in each particular format, but there's still a couple of gaps here and there that can still be filled. Where do we
yeah,
need people to be the next in line? Where are players aging and leaving soon that we need to replace? We have to
yeah,
look at all of those positions and then say, okay, cool. What's the priority for what? So, for example, look, take a person like Matthew Britsky. Is he going to get
yeah.
his chance in ODI cricket, T20 cricket, or Test cricket first? Most
I think
likely
it'll be
T20
T20.
cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely T20 cricket. So they're giving him a hell of a lot of opportunities now in T20 cricket. And
Yeah.
also they're looking at him maybe perhaps for Test cricket. Having a younger guy in the mix over there is also important. He captained the SAA side in the absence of Calvarena, who went to county
Exactly.
first. He made himself available for South Africa. Of course, he's going to, but he
Yeah.
was not going to play a SAA game if he can have the opportunity
Yeah.
to improve his Test game, because that's his main format at the moment for South Africa. It's Test cricket. So he needs to improve his Test game. So he's playing. He was
Yeah.
going to play county cricket, but he's not going to obviously shy away from an opportunity in ODI cricket, where I
Yeah.
feel he can play a really great game. His game is actually really good in
Yeah.
ODIs, if he does
The
focus
other
on them.
thing, the other thing, if I
So
may
we
say
need
as
to
well,
also we need to
they've
balance this.
actually got Sri Lanka and Pakistan coming up as well as inbound tours. So and the way Sri Lanka's been playing as of late, you kind of need a full strength team to tackle them at the moment. They've been playing sublimely. I think they're going to be quite competitive this time around. So I think they want to reserve their best for the best players for those particular tours. So it went without saying. Rabada needed a rest. I think the fans have all been calling for it for a while, and I'm glad that Rob has adhered to it. Marco, I know that there is a rest at play, but it's more of a mental break from the game, as it were, as far as I understand it. So I think it's a similar set of circumstances if you have to look at it collectively. And yeah, I think that we might see some wholesale changes for the second ODI. I'm pretty sure the most obvious one would be Temba might see himself return into the fold. You never know. I think the frailties were so severe today, so visible today. You might very well see him back in the fold. The problem is now, where are you going to put him? You're going to open? Are you going to put him
You
at
see
three? You're
the
going to put him at four?
Yeah, you see the thing, Ravi, is also we don't play enough games, especially overseas. We don't play enough games to give players opportunities. So
Exactly.
obvious, so obviously they're going to look at the guys and say, okay, which ones over here are the next in line? Where
Uh-huh.
are there spots available that we can give guys a chance, right? And then they're going to prioritize the ones that they feel are next in line. So they think that Tristan Stubbs could be the next person in line for an ODI spot in the near future. Give
Yeah,
him a chance in
definitely.
Afghanistan. Don't give him a chance against Ireland, for example. The
Right.
guy, so they've given guys opportunities based on who they are prioritizing for the next in line.
Yeah,
And they've obviously looked at those two series and said, okay, who's going to get chances where? Because they don't have a
yeah,
lot of opportunities to give these guys chances in foreign conditions. So they have to pick
yeah,
and choose which games so that they can give as many opportunities as possible when the chances arise. Because I don't think the home tours against these teams are going to teach us too much about these players as much as what an overseas tour is going to teach us, because
that's a
we
good
are
point. Yeah,
they are familiar with playing in our own conditions. They don't have the problems over here. I mean, Tony scored hundreds here. Carl scores 50s for fun. He scored against Australia
yeah.
when they came down. They're a very good Australian team. So
Yes,
we don't have as much problems when we're playing on our own surface.
but
But
in
when
an
we're playing,
overseas tour, you'll
especially
see the
against
full
spin,
capability.
we've
Yeah,
had problems against spin, and the reason why we have problems against spin is because there's only one ground in the whole country where it actually spins like subcontinent conditions. So the only time these players get a chance to actually face those type of conditions is in Durban when they play the Dolphins, and
the
that's like
P.
1 or 2 games a season. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't really gonna you're not really gonna get that same experience. And also on top of it, South Africa doesn't produce a lot of spinners, so
yeah,
we don't face that in domestic cricket. The
yeah.
only time you're really going to face high quality spinners if you play against Afghanistan of the world, India,
Exactly.
those teams in their
Yeah,
conditions. So that's the major problem. And I don't know how they fix that. They've tried to do, I mean, they've done the one thing that they never did before, they actually did now over the last 2 years. They had spin camps in Durban where
they
the
did it.
players went.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've been doing that, giving the players a chance to under
yeah.
under coaching and high quality coaching.
I think they sent them to India as well
They
for a
did.
3 week camp. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so they've been doing things to try and improve that, but that's not going to be changed overnight. That's something
no,
that's a long tail that needs to be fixed. And if you look at a guy like Tristan Stubbs,
yeah,
generally speaking, he's pretty good against spin. He's actually has a good
yeah,
game against spin. We saw him in the World Cup how he played in the T20s against spin.
yeah.
Even against the West Indies, he played pretty well.
On that note, Vian batted quite well today, in light of the
Yes,
circumstances. Uh,
exactly.
and I think you've been
I think
banging
he's a
the
good
drum
one.
about him being a capable batter for a long time. And today was the first time we can actually see that he's got that capability. So I think he came to the party in a big way. Just a pity he didn't have that support leading up
You
to his
know,
dismissal.
we've the, I've always spoken about Vian because I've watched him since a schoolboy come through the system, right?
Yeah,
The talent was always there, but there's an interview that we did with him. I think it was I think it was for the magazine, but I think we also did a video interview with him where we asked him about himself and how he judges himself as a player, and he mentioned to us that he's an overthinker. He thinks,
yeah,
he overanalyzes and he overthinks situations. And I think
exactly.
that's something they actually, there's a joke going, I think, around his teammates. They call him the scientist of cricket in the dressing room. They call him the scientist because whenever he goes out, and I witnessed this at Newlands actually one day,
He watches the
and
footage.
at the Wanderers, I noticed this. He goes back as soon as he goes out. He goes straight into this to the stats person, who's obviously a high P dog.
Yeah.
He's obviously the ex South African stats guy. Um,
Yes.
he goes straight into the analyst's room and he goes and watches himself and see where he went wrong, and then tries to go to the nets in the break and tries to fix these things. He overthinks the scenarios, and I think what Vian's problem has been is that he got into his head too much. He overthought
Yeah.
things too much. It was definitely mental, and I don't think it was as much ability that gets him. And I think that's a
Yeah.
problem for a lot of South Africans. It's a mental game.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing that sets them back.
But it's good that he that he performed this well today with the bat, because one of my biggest gripes with both the ODI and T20 setup is that once you pass Miller, basically you've got a very lean batting lineup that follows. We say that Jansen can bat a bit, Maharaj can bat a bit, but we don't really have that all-rounder that can really change the game on its head after Miller. You know, the frailties are again visible. So I see Vian potentially coming into that spot. Still a bit premature to say perhaps, but I think he's been blooded in long enough in at least 3 formats to be considered as a long-term prospect. I
And
think today I thought he batted beautifully in a wicket that was quite spicy.
we've been banging on about all rounders for how long, Ravi? Me and you have been, we sat around the table
Yeah.
and chatted about this 3 years, 4 years ago. We've been talking about all rounders and the fact that we don't have batting all rounders for how long. And now, for the first time since I don't know in how long, actually, for the first time that I've been supporting cricket, we can see a clear plan from the coaches that they
Yeah.
are trying to fix the problem. When you look at the SAA team, the amount of all-rounders that have been given opportunities, yes, not
Yes.
everybody's going to take the opportunities. Otherwise, we'll be sitting with this
Yeah.
massive squad of everybody that's Protea level. Not
Exactly.
everybody's going to be Protea
Exactly.
level. We're
No.
going to have to trial and error over here. And when you look at the emerging side, there's been a host of all-rounders being given opportunities. I know people say, oh, no, give
Even
Dean
SAA.
Forrester.
The SAA
Yeah,
team
there's
as
a lot
well.
of people
Yeah.
that say Dean Forrester a chance, this person a chance, that person a chance. They have been given a chances here and there, but they also need to perform at domestic level.
Yeah.
They can't expect to
So
be picked for South Africa if they don't perform regularly in Division 1 as well.
yeah. So my brother-in-law, you would kick me if I didn't ask this question. So in the midst of all of this, where's Dival Previs? Is he with the SAA squad at the moment, or is he with the emerging players? Is he playing? Is there plans for him to join at some point? Because I know he's a big fan, like most people, I suppose. But where is he?
Yeah, so Deval just hit a 74 today for SAA against Sri Lanka in first
Yeah.
class cricket. I think the problem with Deva Brevis is at the moment, I think that the selectors themselves, the coaches themselves, they don't know themselves where they want to go with this. I think
Yeah.
Dewald at the moment himself is a bit confused about in which direction he's going to be
You think
going.
it's too much too
From,
soon, type
I
of thing.
think from my opinion, from the outside looking in, I haven't spoken to him in ages. I maybe need to catch up with him and find out where his head is at. But when
Yeah.
I'm looking at the decisions he's making and I'm looking out there at his performances, he's performed well here and there across all formats. So in T20 cricket, he's
Yeah.
had a couple of good games. In List A cricket, he's had a couple of good games. In first class cricket, he's had a couple of good games. So now we're sitting here and we're like, he needs to be consistent in one or two of them or in all
Yeah.
of them if he wants to be in contention. Now, we've given him chances for the Proteas now in T20 cricket, and he never really
Right.
came to the party. He is, I think, in the Island squad. Let me just double check that.
I think he is. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
you're right.
so he's
I think he
he's
is
been
there.
given a chance over there. He's going to probably be given a chance over there against Ireland in the T20s. I think it is. I think he's
Yeah.
been given a chance. Let me just double check that. So because of that's the thing about Deva Brevis. Um, Actually, I don't see his name here, so I don't think he's been given an opportunity in this. Um, there was a
But it
I don't know
seems to be
what
a clear plan across the board. I think
I
it's not just
I
limited
think
to this group. Yeah.
I think T20 cricket will probably be the first place where they'll try to bed him in. But
Yeah.
if you when we look at Deva Brevis' performances, IPL, SA20, even for the time that he played for South Africa in T20 cricket, it's been very inconsistent. He hasn't come to the
Yeah.
party as
He
we
hasn't lit the world on
know.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always said about
But
what
he's still young.
he's
We're
21.
forgetting.
He's 21
Yeah.
years old, and we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Some of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I think AB made his debut what 22 when he became a regular for
Yeah.
South
We were
Africa.
about the same age when maybe he made his debut. What was he? No, he was 20. Actually,
He was
he was
20,
no, sorry, 21. He was 21. So
21.
2005, he
He was
made it.
21 when he made his debut. So,
Yeah,
but at that time, what was AB doing domestic cricket?
yeah.
What was he doing at
It's
domestic
chalk and
cricket before
cheese.
he got selected?
Chalk and
Exactly.
cheese. Yeah,
So my point is that if players want to get pushed into international cricket early, they need to do what
yeah,
Tristan Stubbs did last year in ODI cricket and first class cricket and T20
yeah.
cricket. Tristan Stubbs smacked everybody around the park like they were amateurs. And that's
No,
why he got
exactly.
selected for South
Yeah,
Africa. And even he has struggled to transition. It took us a long time to get to the
yeah.
form that he's in now. It didn't
And
happen
he's an
instantly.
interesting
And
player. Stubbs,
that
Stubbs
guy
is so
scored
interesting. Yeah,
that guy scored
he can switch. Yeah,
400 runs in 3 games in first class cricket last season.
yeah.
And he came into test cricket and he struggled. It wasn't instant.
You talk
So
about Stubbsy.
Stubbsy. And
Yeah. Let's be honest. I think we can cancel that Newlands test. I mean, that was a write-off and a half. I mean, that pitch
of
was
course,
spicy as hell.
everybody struggled.
I don't know
Everybody struggled.
what the Shukri was asking about the from the groundsman, whatever it was. It clearly backfired. Goodness. I actually had plans to fly from Joburg to Cape Town for day 3 to catch the rest of the test at least. But luckily, I didn't do that because by tea time, I think day 2 it was clear.
Mhm. Yeah, so I don't know what went down there as well. That was crazy. I had
That
a
was a
conversation with
remix.
yeah, yeah, I had a conversation with Bram, the groundsman, about that, and he actually explained that it made a lot of sense what he was telling me. There's a lot of things that have. There was a lot of games and different games. So what happens with South Africa, with the South African pitches as well, the way things are set up, the the grounds get used for multiple formats. And also
Yes,
there was construction happening at Newlands as well over that period.
right. With
And that
Varsity
also
College
caused a
and
lot of
yeah,
that caused a
yeah,
lot of shit as well. But
yeah,
besides that, they constantly have to change the pitches up from T20 cricket to to an ODI wicket, then to a test wicket. Like
yeah.
you can't be doing that.
Gotta be
Like
consistent. Exactly.
it can't be
Yeah,
consistent. A test wicket takes time to obviously
yeah,
work on and get the grass right and get the structure. Like it takes time for you to do that. You can't just switch it from T20 last week to now you want to make a test wicket.
yeah.
It doesn't work like
It's
that.
a
So that
complicated process because you can't
complicated
really
process.
compare to India and England and Australia, for example, because we've got obviously got a variety of grounds, but I think because they've got so many grounds that are designed for specific formats almost. Because I mean, the Gabba is obviously a test wicket, the MCG test wicket, SCG, same story. It obviously you can do a couple of formats there. But for example, Perth hasn't been a test venue. I mean, it's only a test venue only in the Ashes. But for any other inbound tour that the Aussies have, it's very seldom they would consider using it. But for one days and T20s, absolutely. They would definitely use it for that.
Mm. But
Here, unfortunately, you're right.
also the
You can
problem
have,
is
yeah,
another problem is domestically because the turnaround between like our domestic format, it's not like we have like 3 months of county cricket. Like they have 3 months of like first class cricket where only first class cricket gets played on that
yeah.
ground really that they're
Well,
playing on.
exactly.
So like
And they've
for
actually
us,
got
we have
different
like
venues in some
nine.
cases for first class. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So now we have, for example, we have what there's a short period. We play half of the games in this part of the year. Then there's a big gap and they play T20 cricket. And then they have to play first class cricket at the end of the season again. Now you have to prepare the pitch again for first class. So
yeah,
it's a lot of chopping and changing. Newlands has been,
yeah,
and Newlands is also used a lot for majority of the major games and things like that. So
yeah.
it's a problem. And we mustn't forget that there's also other games played at Newlands besides domestic cricket. Sometimes the women play there, sometimes there's other teams that play there. So
That's it.
it's
Yeah,
used for other things. So yeah, we need to sort that out as well. Make sure that we give the groundsman the best possible tools and such scenarios for him to be able to produce the best
yeah,
pitches for what they need. Because I mean, we had the SA20
yeah,
as well that it needs to be prepared for again, and then
yeah.
at least now the
Ironically,
off
they
season's
actually had
been
a
quite
3 day
nice.
lead time to sort out the SA20 because of the the squash test. I think because the test was over on day 2, they actually had 3
I mean, they
additional
didn't have to
days
do
to
much
do a cricket.
preparing there for a T20 game.
They
That
didn't
was
have
a
to do
T20
anything.
week.
And Uncle didn't have to do anything. All he had to do is just mow the lawn.
No, that's a
Oh
joke,
goodness.
Bram, if you're watching, because I know he does
Yeah,
watch the show.
his uncle, he's gonna ban you from the ground, my bro. Me, I don't have to worry. I'm in another province, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
So, Ravs, what's your final words?
Look, I greeted this series with heightened optimism. I saw a couple of youngsters being blooded, and I think it's an opportunity. And having seen the sequence play out before with the Amlas, the De Villiers, the Calluses of the world, they all had rough starts in their career. I think all I could say to the fans is just take this with a grain of salt. It does count towards points from my understanding. Fair enough, there is something at stake in that regard. But I think in the long term overall picture, it's a very good opportunity to continue blooding in the youngsters. I believe in Kaba Peter, for example, is also in the squad as well. So I'll be very curious to see what he can do as well with the ball. So let's see what the rest of the series brings. I think going this with an open mind is obviously not nice to lose. But I think there seems to be a long-term strategy and plan in terms of who would likely be the mainstays in the ODI setup.
Mm. And we can also tell he almost, I think he predicted this, not to the extent that it happened, but he knew that these players will probably struggle a bit. And that's why I
Yeah,
think he picked a group of batters over here that can start every single game, and then he can alternate his all rounders. But because of Temba's illness, I don't think he predicted that. So
yeah,
obviously, then you
exactly.
had to play
He
three
probably
all
would have played
rounders.
today. Yeah,
Yeah, he would
he
have played
probably
today,
would have
and
played
probably
today.
Andile might have missed out, or Jason Smith might have missed out in today's
Yeah,
game. And we could have had a very different game. Might have had a different decision at the toss as well,
yeah.
because I don't think that.
It's also
It,
nerves, eh? Yeah,
yeah,
you're coming in a crisis situation. 36 for 6,
yeah,
36 for
but
5.
on top of, but also at the same time, I don't want to give them too many excuses and think that this is okay. Like
No, it's not. I mean,
yeah,
of course, in the grand scheme of things, it's not. But and in fairness, Jason is not a lighty at all. He's 30, right? So he's been around for a while. But in international cricket, it's a different story altogether.
yeah.
And I think he found that out the hard way, unfortunately, today.
I mean,
But I would love to see him give it another go. Yeah.
Jason Smith when he was at school level. He was he was one of the guys that was called the next Cullis because he went to the same school as Cullis,
Weinberg.
and
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and at Wamber Boys you get honored with a tree if you score a century, right? They allow you to plant a tree on their ground or
Okay.
whatever like that, right? That's their thing. And Cullis only got 3 trees while he was at school.
What kind of tree did Herschel get at Bishop's there, Khalid?
They don't do that tradition at Bishops. It's a Wamberg tradition. It's a Wamberg tradition that when you score a century,
I'm
you
sure
get
they
to
gave
plant.
him some form of shrubbery. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, but like you need to be able to. Yeah, so that's the Wamberg tradition. And Jason Smith had 6. He got 6 when he was at school, and Levy got like 21 or something, or like something crazy like that, 12 or
Oh, wow.
13 or something crazy like that. Calvarena also got about 4, 3 or 4. I can't remember how many trees he got. He
Trees.
told me, yeah, they get to plant trees. It's
Oh, at
for every
the
single time
school.
they score. Yeah, every single time they get a score a century, they get to plant a tree with their name on it, the plaque on it.
That's awesome. When I'm there, I don't know if they'll grant us a tour. I'd love to see this firsthand.
Yeah,
Uh, but so Cullis, Levy, Smith,
yeah. So
Verena.
Smith was talked about as the next best thing. That's why Western Province picked him up very early. But then when
Right.
he got blooded into the province team, he was in the under 19 team as well. He's
Yeah, he's been
he's
around for a while. Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while. He was spoken about as the next big thing. Then he was at the Cobras, but when he came through the system at the Cobras, when it was still the Cape Cobras, they had a lot of senior Proteas players like Vernon Philander, Wayne Parnell, Roddy Kleinvat was still playing for them.
Yeah.
Justin Kemp I think at that time, I
He was
think
in and out.
maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
Justin Kemp was in and out. So
On top
they
of
had
it. Yeah.
they had a lot of younger, they had a lot of all rounders that were Proteas contracted players that were keeping him out of the team because Proteas contract players have to play when they're available.
Yeah.
So he didn't get really much of a chance to really allow his career to take off as he wanted to. It's kind of stunted his growth.
Yeah.
So he made the move to the Dolphins, and he's having some of the best. He's playing some of the best cricket of his career at the moment at the Dolphins.
I think
So
so. The change of
that's why
venue
he's
is
getting
helping.
selected for the
Yeah.
Proteas now.
The
So
change of environment helping. I see the same thing happening with Zubi over here in Joburg. He seemed to be enjoying the environment and as a result playing a little bit better because he was kind of like a shell of his former self when I saw him play. What is it? A little less than a year and a half ago in that in that T20 local this CSA T20 competition. The final was here in the Wanderers and he looked kind of out of it, right? It was his first
that
game back.
that ban really stunted his progression,
It
man.
started him, I'm sure it did.
Yeah, he
So I'm
was.
glad. I think in that moment he kind of like gravitated a little bit towards the Wanderers crowd, and perhaps that resulted in his decision changing sides, joining in with the Wanderers. Now he's working firsthand with Hash at the moment because, as you know, he's the batting consultant, batting coach here. So it seems to be paying off dividends. So all I can say is that I'm hopeful that he makes a comeback because I'm a big fan of his. I'm sure he will. He's a very measured and tested player in every sense of the word.
It's going to be a very big domestic season, and I'm going to do a preview of the domestic season ahead of the new domestic season. It's going to be a
Great.
very big domestic season for a lot of players that are knocking on the door. But for players to get selected in the Proteas side, like I said earlier on the show, they need to really outperform everybody else to get
Yeah.
selected. That's what's going to need to happen. I mean, when Peter Malan got selected for the Proteas back then, he was scoring 800 runs in domestic cricket at first class
Yeah.
level.
Right.
That's what needs to happen if you want to get selected. Stubbsy got selected on the back of scoring 400 runs in 3 games. So,
Right.
like,
You
those
need
are
to
the
get
type
the
of things.
attention. Yeah.
I mean, Tony DeZois, he scored a triple century for Western Province, and there was a
Yeah.
gap available. He took his chance, and things
Yeah.
can happen. But that's what you need to do, and not everybody's going to be able to take their chance. There are a lot
Yeah.
of players that people have been calling for, even at SAA level, that haven't come to the party. They struggled,
Exactly.
and people have been
Exactly.
calling for their names and saying they must be selected. They select them, and
Yeah.
then they don't. Even David Bedingham in ODI cricket, the first 2 games against Sri Lanka, he was terrible. And then he goes and scored
Right.
a massive 100 in the third game, and that kind of saves the series for him. But
Right.
if he doesn't score that 180, what would we say about him? Would we still be calling for him for the Proteas side? So, like, we need
Yeah.
to take things into context when we
It's,
talk about certain things
yeah.
and give players enough
Absolutely.
opportunities and chance, because you only get one shot. Do not let your chance blow. Right? That's what
Exactly.
Eminem Eminem said, and it's true. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. You have to take your opportunity when it comes for you, but you can't also bank that everybody's going to take the opportunity first time.
Yeah.
Not everybody's
Whenever
life
whenever
is
they
that
gave that
lucky.
rap, unfortunately, his adversary ended up becoming Captain America at the end of it. So yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
interesting
guys,
fact.
guys, thanks a lot. Ravi, thanks a lot for calling in. Thanks to everybody for
Pleasure,
watching.
man.
I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Don't forget, guys, to subscribe to the channel and subscribe to my new channel as well. Um, you guys can find that. It's just Khalid Mohideen if you type it on YouTube. But if you go to YouTube/Khalid Mohideen, you'll find it. Go subscribe to that. I do reviews on movies, music, Man United, etc. Might be doing WWE. When I get enough subscribers, I'll probably doing live shows, and I'll get Ravi on the show to come chat with me about some nerdy things. So yeah, that's something that we're going to be that I would like you guys to also join. But also smash this like button and comment on this show as well after the stream has ended. I need your comments in the comment section as well. to help these videos spread. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again with another preview show very soon. Probably will be tomorrow. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. And thank you, Sravs. Peeves out.